From the clash of ancient shields to the roar of modern artillery, humanity's story is etched in conflict. Every battle, every skirmish, every strategic masterstroke has carved its mark upon the world we know today. We will journey across continents and centuries, from the deserts of Kadesh, where chariots once thundered, to the muddy fields of Europe, where empires were won and lost. We'll explore the pivotal moments that shaped nations, the brilliant tactics that turned the tide, and the incredible sacrifices made on the front lines. This isn't just about dates and names, it's about the pulse of combat, the weight of command, and the human stories behind the greatest struggles in history. Welcome to Battles Through History. Subscribe now and prepare to witness the past come alive like never before. Today, we are re-diving into one of history's most epic and disastrous military campaigns, the Athenian siege of Syracuse. It's a story of blinding ambition, brilliant strategy, and a catastrophe so complete it changed the course of the ancient world forever. Imagine the scene. It's 415 BCE. The Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta has been raging for years, but Athens, at the height of its power, wasn't satisfied. Drunk on its own success and naval dominance, it set its sights on a prize that seemed almost mythical in its wealth: Sicily. And the crown jewel of Sicily was the city of Syracuse, a powerful, prosperous metropolis that rivaled any in Greece. The plan was bold. Conquering Syracuse would not only bring unimaginable riches into Athenian coffers, but would also cut off vital grain supplies to Sparta and its allies. It was a checkmate move, a knockout blow designed to secure Athenian supremacy over the entire Mediterranean. Leading this monumental undertaking was Alcibiades, one of the most charismatic, brilliant, and controversial figures in Athenian history. He sold the dream to the Athenian assembly, promising glory and empire, and so Athens assembled the greatest force it had ever put to sea. A fleet of over 100 triremes, thousands of heavily armed hoplites, archers, and cavalry, all packed into a massive armada that sailed west with immense fanfare. The city's treasury was emptied to fund this grand expedition. To the people of Athens, it felt like the dawn of an even greater age. They were invincible. What could possibly go wrong? Well, almost everything. The first domino fell before the fleet even reached its main target. The Athenian command was a three-headed beast, and a dysfunctional one at that. Alongside Alcibiades were Nicias, a cautious, older general who had actually opposed the expedition, and Lamachus, a seasoned, aggressive military man. This shaky leadership structure was shattered when a political scandal erupted back in Athens. Alcibiades was recalled to face charges of impiety, but rather than face trial, he defected to Sparta, Athens' mortal enemy. He took all the secrets of the expedition with him, advising the Spartans on how best to thwart the invasion he himself had championed. Now the invasion was left in the hands of the reluctant Nicias and the hot-headed Lamachus. They dithered, wasting precious time, while Syracuse, initially shocked by the scale of the invasion, began to organize its defenses under its own capable general, Hermocrates. Syracuse was no easy target. It was protected by formidable walls and a large natural harbor, and its citizens were determined to fight for their freedom. The Athenians finally landed and established a base. Their strategy was classic siege warfare: build a massive wall of circumvallation, a double wall that would completely encircle Syracuse and cut it off from any outside help, starving the city into submission. The great siege had begun, and it quickly turned into a frantic race of construction. As the Athenians built their siege wall, the Syracusans desperately built counterwalls to intersect and block the Athenian progress. In these early stages, the Athenians had the upper hand. Their professional soldiers outmatched the Syracusan militia in open battle. They won a key victory that allowed their wall to progress, but it came at a high cost. The aggressive general Lamachus was killed in a skirmish. Now, the Athenian force was commanded solely by the overly cautious and indecisive Nicias, a man who never wanted to be there in the first place. Despite this, by the end of 414 BCE, it looked like Athens was on the verge of victory. Their great wall was nearly complete. Supplies in Syracuse were dwindling, and morale was hitting rock bottom. The city was on the brink of surrender. A message was even sent to Athens, heralding the imminent victory. It seemed the great gamble was about to pay off. But then, everything changed. Just as all hope seemed lost for Syracuse, a Spartan ship arrived. On board was a single man who would turn the entire war on its head, Gylippus. He wasn't a king or a famous politician. He was simply a brilliant, no-nonsense Spartan general. Landing on the far side of Sicily, he rallied allied troops and marched towards Syracuse. In a stroke of tactical genius, he found the one small, unfinished gap in the Athenian siege wall and slipped his forces right through, entering the city to the roaring cheers of its desperate inhabitants. Gylippus was a force of nature. He immediately injected discipline and confidence into the Syracusan army. He wasn't just a commander, he was an engineer and a strategist. He saw that the key was not to fight the Athenians head-on, but to outbuild them. He organized the construction of a new decisive counterwall, this time running it across a high plateau called the Epipolae. The race was back on, but now the momentum was with Syracuse. Gylippus's wall reached the far cliffs first, permanently blocking the Athenian encirclement. The siege was effectively broken. The Athenians were no longer the besiegers. They were now the ones being trapped, stuck between the city walls and their own fortifications, with their supply lines cut. With the land route blocked, the conflict shifted to the sea, to Syracuse's great harbor. Nicias, panicking, sent a desperate message back to Athens, begging for reinforcements or permission to retreat. Athens, unwilling to accept defeat, doubled down. They sent a second massive fleet and army, led by another general, Demosthenes. But it was too little, too late. The Syracusans, advised by Gylippus, had adapted. They knew they couldn't beat the Athenians in open water, so they turned the confined harbor into a death trap. They reinforced the bows of their ships, turning them into floating battering rams designed for head-on collisions, a tactic that nullified the Athenians' superior rowing skills. In a series of brutal naval battles within the harbor, the more experienced Athenian navy was shockingly defeated. The final act was one of pure desperation. The Athenians staked everything on one last naval battle to break out of the harbor. The entire army, sick and starving, lined the shore to watch. It was a chaotic, horrifying spectacle of crashing ships, splintering wood, and drowning men. The Syracusans boxed them in completely. The Athenian fleet was annihilated. What followed was one of the most harrowing retreats in military history. Abandoning their ships, their wounded, and their dead, the Athenians tried to escape by land. Led by Nicias and Demosthenes, an army of over 40,000 men began a death march through the Sicilian countryside. They were exhausted, demoralized, and without food or water. For days, the Syracusan cavalry and light infantry relentlessly harassed them, picking them off from a distance. The army split into two groups, but neither could escape. Demosthenes' force was surrounded and forced to surrender. A few days later, Nicias' column, now a stumbling, thirst-crazed mob, reached the Asinarus River. They stampeded into the water, trampling each other in a desperate attempt to drink, all while being showered with arrows and javelins from the Syracusans on the banks. It was a massacre. Seeing the utter butchery, Nicias surrendered. The aftermath was grim. Both Nicias and Demosthenes were executed. The thousands of Athenian prisoners who survived the march were condemned to a fate arguably worse than death. They were herded into the city's stone quarries, the Latimae. Exposed to the scorching sun by day and freezing cold by night, with minimal food and water, they perished by the thousands from disease and starvation. The Sicilian expedition was over. The news of the disaster sent a shockwave through the Greek world. In Athens, there was disbelief, then grief, then pure terror. They had lost 2 entire armies, over 200 ships, a vast fortune, and an entire generation of young men. The loss was so catastrophic that Athens never fully recovered. Its naval supremacy was shattered, its treasury empty, and its spirit broken. The defeat at Syracuse directly led to Sparta's eventual victory in the Peloponnesian War a few years later, ending Athens' golden age. The siege of Syracuse stands as a monumental lesson in the dangers of imperial overreach. It showed that immense power and wealth are no guarantee of victory against a determined defense and brilliant leadership. It was a single 2-year campaign that brought a mighty empire to its knees and reshaped history. A story of how one city's ambition became its ultimate downfall. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Sicily. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. Let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. Until next time, stay curious. Thank you for journeying with us through the echoes of history's most pivotal battlefields. We hope this exploration into the past has been as insightful for you as it was for us to create. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please show your support by hitting that like button. It truly helps us out. Share this video with any fellow history buffs you know. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, Battles Through History, for more epic tales. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we march into our next chapter. We love hearing from you, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep the spirit of exploration alive.